Thanks, councillors. I declare the meeting of Greater Hume Council open at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, the 17th of June 2026. In accordance with Council's Code of Meeting Practice, this meeting is being held and being recorded and will be placed on Council's webpage for public information. All present are reminded that by speaking, you are agreeing to your views and comments being recorded and published. You're also reminded that when speaking, you must be respectful of others and use appropriate language. Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during this meeting. I ask that everyone is respectful of others when they are speaking and refrain from speaking over the top of one another. I also ask that councillors, when you're moving a recommendation, that you read out the recommendation, please. Sorry, everyone. Tonight we have three speakers in relation to DA 10.2022.151.2, business premises at 1 Sladen Street, Henty. I would ask Claire Wilson to come forward to the lectern, please.
Okay, I can start. Okay, good evening, Ms Flecker, Mayor and councillors, and thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak. The Old Servo is not an obnoxious bikie gang selling illegal health remedies to dodgy clients in a quiet residential neighbourhood. Instead, we are a quiet, polite business providing health and wellbeing services on an extremely busy rail and traffic corridor, all of which our neighbour knew before they purchased their house. Furthermore, we have not deliberately breached any conditions of consent. However, we have consistently received conflicting advice from council workers. This includes advice that our hours of operation were 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week. However, I later received contradictory advice that the operating hours were only 9 to 5 days a week. Given this background, I ask that council approve this DA with the following 7 changes to the conditions of consent. Condition 2, hours of operation. Prior to submitting this DA, I asked council staff what hours would be appropriate. 5:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. was their reply. Therefore, we asked for a compromise, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. I also asked that a 12-month trial period be removed. The trial period will just invite further complaints from the neighbour and expose my business to the risk of conflicting advice from council staff when this trial period ends. We also asked that we be able to start these extended hours from Monday the 22nd of June. Condition 2A, boundary fence. We asked that the neighbour be made to organise and pay for this. I know this is very unusual, but our situation is very unusual. A neighbour has submitted copious complaints of negligible concern, yet perpetrated several serious breaches of privacy against us. I also think that if we organise and pay for the fence, it will give leeway for our neighbour to submit numerous complaints about the contractors and the fence. Yet if they organise and pay for the fence, there will be no such complaints. Condition 4, vegetation. Please remove this condition. Our neighbour is taking us to the Land and Environment Court next week about the vegetation in question. Condition 10, signage. Please remove this condition. This condition exposes council and my business to the possibility of receiving complaints from the neighbour. It also exposes my business to the possibility of receiving inconsistent advice from council workers. Condition 11, 3 allied health professionals. Please remove this. This condition precludes any sort of team meetings, team training and team consults, all of which are essential to any effective allied health workplace. The outcome of this DA is a community matter. Over the past 18 months, the Old Servo has been significantly affected by the changing requirements from council staff and the persistent unfounded complaints from our neighbour. Unless council acts swiftly to change this pattern, the Old Servo will close. Please approve this DA with the 7 proposed changes I have requested. Thank you.
Thanks, Claire. Sorry, I tore it.
Okay.
Councillors, do you have any questions for Claire? Councillor Morton, please put your mic on. Thanks. And tilt it down towards you, perhaps. Thank you.
Thanks for presenting to us today. We received this quite substantial document 5 minutes ago. I think it's pretty unreasonable for us to be able to read that and assess it.
Councillor Morton, that's not from Claire.
That's
from
all.
speaker 3.
Oh, okay. Thank you. My question is, my concern is with your DA is that Sundays is usually a day of rest for the whole community. Is there any thoughts that you may have to reduce your hours on Sunday from away from being 5:30 till 10 p.m.?
Okay, the Sunday hours are usually are designed just for the people to come and do Pilates by themselves. It will not be manned. It will only be manned Monday to Friday.
Like a gym would be manned
Yep.
in our other towns.
Yep.
Thank you. Councillors, any other questions? Kerry, could you turn, Councillor Morton, could you turn your mic off, please?
Sure.
No other questions? Thanks, Claire. Thanks very much. I'd now like Shelley Plumbridge to come to the lectern, please. Thank you, Shelley. And if you could just turn the right button on, please, Shelley.
I'm little. Good evening, Ms Fleckhart, councillors and the Mayor. My name is Shelley Plumage. I'm a tenant at the Old Servo 1 day a week with expansion in the future. I'm here to speak in support of their development application for operating hours of 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday to Friday. I reside in Albury. The Old Servo is a community asset. Owner Claire employs 6 part-time staff members and supports 2 tenants, one myself and Speak Pathology Practice, who collectively provide swimming lessons, Pilates, speech pathology and remedial and allied health services to the community. The people who use it include, but are not limited to, farmers, tradespeople, childcare workers, working parents, families and young athletes who simply cannot get there between 9 and 5. All of these services are a necessity for mental health, rehabilitation and childhood development, to name a few. These are not a luxury, but a necessity, especially for a rural community. This is most of Henty, including its retired and elderly residents who often have the greatest need for allied health services and equally deserve access beyond standard hours. This is not a niche group. The objection before council tonight comes from a single resident, not a street, not a neighbourhood, but one household. The conduct associated with this complaint has included videotaping community members as they access or leave the premises, creating an environment of intimidation. My fellow practitioners have lost clients as a direct result, families with children, people with disabilities who have chosen not to return, not because of the services, but because of how it feels to access them. The complaints raised include headlights, people talking outside, car doors and vehicles starting, even staff staying to complete notes, a legal requirement, or accessing the building on weekends. I ask council to pause and consider the environment in which the Old Survey sits. It's on a main highway, diagonally opposite Henty Railway Station, and a level crossing that services passenger and freight trains, bells, lights and whistles throughout the day and into the evening. The Inland Rail project will only increase that activity in coming years. Furthermore, there's a street light approximately 10 metres from the complainant's fence line on the same road, with no trees or screening shining directly into their front yard. Conversely, that suggestion that vehicle headlights from the Old Survey constitute an unreasonable imposition in that context simply does not hold up. This is a main highway, this is a working town, and this community deserves a working solution. The complaint has described the proposed hours as sensitive. I would suggest that what is truly sensitive is a single household blocking an entire community from accessing the health and wellbeing they services they just simply deserve and need. Sorry, I'm really shaking because I'm really mad. Henty and its surrounding towns and communities that work hard, ask for little and deserve better than this. Tonight, Council has the power to end 18 months of disruption, support local jobs and restore access to health services for everyone across this region who needs them. I ask you to do right by this community, make the decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. Perfect timing, by the way.
Yeah, sorry, I'm
Sorry. Tap on the.
Sorry. No, thank you. Turn it off?
Yes, if you don't mind, Shelley. Councillors, do you have any questions for Shelley? No? No questions? Thank you, Shelley. You did really well. Thank you very much. Amali, I'd like you to come up, please, to the lectern. Thanks, Amali. Just the right-hand button, please.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I object to the recommendation to approve the proposed modification to extend operating hours. but I'm not opposed to this business operating in the community. While Council's report acknowledges potential impacts on residential neighbour, insufficient weight has been given to the scale of the proposed increase, the applicant's compliance history, and the need to protect residential amenity within the RU5 village zone. This is not a minor adjustment. The proposal represents a 136% increase in the approved operating hours and introduces weekend operations. Council itself acknowledges that increased hours have the potential to increase impacts on the resident. The issue is not simply the number of additional vehicle movements, but their timing and impact. The applicant claims the proposal would generate only 6 additional vehicle movements per day. However, the observations over 3 days in May recorded between 15 and 21 vehicle movements outside approved operating hours alone. The activity observed is inconsistent with the applicant's estimate and undermines the confidence in the accuracy of the information relied upon to support this application. I remain concerned about Council's approach to compliance and enforcement. Complaints regarding operating hours took almost 12 months to result in enforcement action. During this period, there were significant delays in responses, and I am still awaiting a response to correspondence regarding advice around Council ranges, where they were directed by Colin not to attend call-outs relating to this site, despite written advice from Colin Kane instructing me to contact rangers regarding breaches. These circumstances have diminished confidence in Council's ability to effectively monitor and enforce any future conditions of consent. Council should give significant weight to the applicant's ongoing and historical non-compliance. Complaints regarding operation outside of hours have been substantiated by Council, yet breaches have continued almost daily throughout this assessment period. Swimming lessons also continue to operate without approval, despite advice from Guyan on the 13th of May 2026 that a separate DA is required. The applicant has demonstrated a consistent disregard for consent conditions and council enforcement. Approving a substantial increase in operating hours in these circumstances would reward non-compliance and raise serious concerns about any future conditions and how they would be monitored and enforced. If Council is minded to consider any extension, it should be modest, subject to a trial period, and only occur after professionally designed acoustic and visual mitigation measures are installed along the shared residential boundary. Before making a decision, I urge Council to carefully review the officer's report and the resident submissions before voting. Thank you.
Thanks, Amali. Does anyone have any questions for Amali, please, councillors? No? Thank you very much, Amali. Thank you. Councillor O'Neill, would you like to lead us in prayer, please?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for all your blessings, especially the blessing of rain that we have enjoyed the last few weeks. We ask for your strength and guidance throughout this meeting and thereafter as we look to serve the residents of this shire. We ask for clear thinking and sincere hearts as we approach the business matters we will be discussing shortly. We ask for your blessings upon this meeting, each participant and the work and people they represent. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. I'd like to acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Wiradjuri people and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Are there any applications for leave and apologies? Thank you, councillors. Councillor Quinn?
Possibly a leave of absence for the July meeting. It's only possible now. I don't know yet.
Just in case, Councillor Quinn. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Lindner. Any others, councillors? If not, I'll put that. All those in favour? Thank you. Declared it carried. Confirmation of minutes from the 20th of May. The council meeting was held at Colcan on the 20th of May as printed and circulated. Can we please have a mover and seconder for those minutes? Thank you, Councillor Quinn, and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Shield. Any comments? Councillor
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor. Just on page 14, in relation to the voting on a development application at Gindra, I noticed that after the amendment was lost and then we voted on the motion, that my vote wasn't recorded.
Thank you, Councillor Lynn. We'll have that amended. Any other comments, councillors? Councillor Lynn, can you just turn your mic off for me, please?
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
If not, I'll put the vote. All those in favour? All in favour, declared it carried. Thank you. Action report from the minutes. Please, could you state the page number and the item? Thank you, councillors. Surely you've got some questions. I could rely on you, Councillor Moulton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I haven't got the page number, but it's item 6859 on the action report. 6859 from the 21st of May 25, being 12 months ago now. The indication for the Carabost fire facility. I'm very glad to see that that's finally getting underway and that the DA has been passed. May I ask a question to the engineer, Mr. Blackie, with regards to the progress of that, and when do we expect for that to be finished?
Thank you, Mr. Blackie.
Through Madam Mayor, I'm unaware of a time frame for that yet. There was some push to try and get it done for the financial year, but obviously that was not possible. So they're obviously put it on hold for a part of time and weather and other things. So, but I can follow up and get back to you on that.
Thank you, Mr. Blackie. Mrs. GM, would you like to make a comment about that? No? No. Okay, thank you. Any other items, councillors? Yes, Councillor Lindner?
Yeah, it's 7068, just regarding the wind farm. I'm just wondering, in relation to point 3, requesting a public meeting, just have we got any further feedback relating to that? And in relation to the progress, has anything been placed on the portal as yet, as far as we know what's going on? Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Lindner. Would you like me to comment? Sorry? You want to, yeah, Madam GM, you can comment. Councillor Lindner, we still haven't heard back from the Minister's office after our meeting with him in Sydney, so we're waiting on that. Apparently there is nothing on the portal at this stage for the Ambler Range wind farm, but we're keeping a very close eye on it. But as soon as we hear back, we'll bring it to the councillors. Anyone else have any comments or questions from the action report? No? If not, I'll put it. All those in favour? All in favour, declare it carried. Thank you. Some disclosures of interest. I have 2 in my hot hands. One for Councillor Moulton on item number 10.3.5 for the Bald Archie exhibition. Thank you, Councillor Moulton. I'll ask you to leave the room when that is coming up. And Councillor Shulk for item 10.1, environmental and planning, which I think is the first cab off the rank, 10.20221512 for the business premises at 1 Sladen Street. So I'll ask you to leave the room when that comes up, please, too. Thank you. No more minutes today, but I do have a notice of motion. Thanks, councillors. You would have seen or heard, and we've had a brief discussion about the code of meeting practice that has been, what's the word I'm going to use? Disallowed. Yes, disallowed. So there is a motion on page, sorry, I'll just get it, on page 8. Might be up on the board. I'm moving that motion. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Shulk. Any questions about reverting back to the old code? It's quite ridiculous that we've spent how long talking about this and now we're reverting back to the old one. But anyway, all those in favour? All in favour, declare it carried. Thank you, councillors. Reports from the officers, part A. Councillor Shulk, would I ask you to vacate the room? DA 10.2022.151.2. We haven't changed the recommendation. I'll ask Mr. Kane to speak to it if you don't mind.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I've considered the council's initial recommendation, and I think that an amendment is warranted, which I'm proposing. So that amendment, I'll just read that as it is on the board, noting that condition 2A has been altered to require the construction of the fence within 1 month from the date of issue of the development consent. That's the modified development consent. I'll just read the change to condition 2A. It's just a minor change. So it now would read, a colour-bond fence made of new material and uniform colour is to be constructed along the northern boundary of the development site, Lot 1 DP 652787, within 1 month from the date of issue of the development consent as follows to the satisfaction of council. The colour-bond fence must have a minimum height of 1.2 metres for the first 2 metres of the western boundary along the Olympic Highway and a minimum of 1.8 metres to be erected along the remainder of the northern boundary adjoining Lot 2 DP 12486. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. Do we have a mover and seconder for that motion with the amendment in it?
Yeah, I'm happy to move that, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Lindner and,
Seconded, but I'd like to ask a question. Who's paying for that fence?
oh, can we just wait? Sorry, we'll just, Councillor Annie, are you seconding it?
I'm seconding.
Thank you. Questions? Councillor, would you like to lead conversation?
Maybe suggest that we suspend standing orders because
Thank
this
you.
could be a lengthy one.
Yes, thank you very much. Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Hicks. Emily, you got that? Yep. All those in favour? All in favour, declared it carried. Off you go, Councillor Lindner. Would you like to lead?
I'd just like to re-listen to some of the points and the potential alterations that our speaker actually spoke.
First speaker,
Yes, please.
would you like to read them out?
Yeah.
I did write some down. I hope I get them right. So change of hours of operation, trial period to start on the 22nd of the 6th. Boundary fence for the neighbour, vegetation, that's all I've got. Signage.
Mayor,
Thank you.
the proponent didn't seek those modifications. The proponent just sought the modifications to the hours of operation, didn't seek those other conditions to be amended. And so they have not been subject to the application, haven't been exhibited. So council can choose to change a condition of consent other than the one that is being sought to be modified, which was condition 2, which related to the hours of operation. But the proponent has to request the modification that they are seeking. So all of those additional conditions of consent would have had to be part of the application for modification, which it wasn't done.
Okay, so point 1 all the way down. So hours of operation has been considered? No?
Yes, that's condition
Yes.
number 2.
Yes.
So only condition number 2 has been considered,
Yep.
which is the original hours of operation,
Yep.
which was 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And so, and the applicant's proposal to modify those hours was exhibited with the statement of environmental effects.
Mhm.
And council staff have considered those hours and are recommending lesser hours. But that's what has been exhibited and that's what's been sought in this case. So those other conditions weren't part of the application.
Will the applicant have to, reapply for those other changes? Is that what you're telling me, Mr. Kane? Okay, so we can't discuss those other things that Claire's brought up, unfortunately.
Madam Mayor, can you
Yes.
just confirm the exact hours that we're proposing, please?
I did ask the same question today. Would you like to confirm those hours, please, Mr. Kane?
Well, the applicant staff are saying, if we refer to condition number 2,
7.
if we go on in the page.
Oh. Mr. Kane, can you turn your microphone on, please?
Sorry. I'll give councillors the page number. You can look at the condition of consent that we're looking to modify. So on page 66, the condition, I'll read it now. The approved hours of operation for the business premises Allied Health are limited to a trial period of 12 months from the date that the requirement of condition 2 have been satisfied. That's the offence. During this trial period, the hours of operation are as follows: Monday to Sunday, 6 a.m. to 7:30 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. And what happens after, my question is, what happens after the 12 months of trial?
The applicant would make another modification application to ask for permanent hours to be applied.
Thank you. Councillor, are you satisfied? That's so 6 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Thank you. Councillor Morton.
Mr. Kane, could you explain to us how would we go about reporting on the success or failure of that trial in order for it to move into the phase of the proposed, please?
I think certainly we would be looking to see whether there were still amenity concerns there. That could be done in a number of ways. Most councils in this situation, when it relates to amenity around hours of operation, are relying on complaints that councils receive, and so that would be a part of it. Seeing whether we receive complaints, could we verify that those complaints are substantiated, and then determining based on that whether to modify those hours of operation. It's pretty typical, just speaking generally about operations that relate to noise and the like. It is very, very typical for councils to apply a reviewable consent condition, which is what this is.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. Is there any other question? Councillor O'Neill.
Can I just ask where the Henty Gym is up to these days? Still operational? So is that 7-day-a-week operation? So
I think they've got 2 gyms in Henty.
Yeah,
So
there
we
are
have
2
that-
gyms in
that-
Henty.
accessible.
And as I understand it, that accessible, there is accessibility 24/7, I believe, in the Sladen Street one. Yeah, but I'd have to confirm.
Yeah, the Holbrook gym is the same, Jenny. You have a fob system and it's accessible any time of the day. Yep. Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Quinn.
I don't like the possibility of a trial basis. It's like putting a leg rope on a business that wants to have a go. I've lived in an area, I've moved out of the area now, but I lived in an area for years where we had a couple of serial complainers. That was back in Hume Shire's day. And they drove the staff nearly mad. And because they had to answer all the complaints, all that sort of thing. And I think that if we want a business and they tick the box, we should give them the open door to get going.
Thank you, Councillor Quinn. Councillors, any other questions? No? Mr. Kane, would you like to make a final comment? You look like you're worried.
No, I'm not. One thing that a trial period allows, it can reduce the cost of an application. And if you're going to be particularly when the issue relates to noise, if you're going to be definitive in your hours of operation, then you would ask your proponent to provide noise assessments and the like from noise consultants, which adds cost. And so in some ways, a reviewable condition removes that onus that you have to undertake a detailed noise assessment. And so it's a balancing act. That's where I often land on a reviewable condition because of that. The alternative is to require a full-blown noise assessment.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. Councillor Hooper.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just to Director of Planning. So can you just, for clarity, the process at the end of the trial period, what's expected of the owner is there a formal DA application to happen again, or can you just explain what happens at the end of so we're clear? Thanks.
It's not a full-blown application. Modification is never that. It would be A statement of environmental effects, again, essentially only needing to address what it addresses, which just relates to amenity impacts and noise, and it's a modification. So it's a very specific application. The fee is reduced. The time period is usually pretty quick for a modification application, and so that's what's required. The proponent would usually put their best foot forward and say, you know, we've traded for this period of time. To the best of our knowledge, there's been no issue. Now we're asking council to make those hours permanent or potentially even expand upon those hours. But the application itself is very targeted to the condition that it relates to. So in this one, the modification is only going to relate to condition 2. You only have to supply the information that supports your application to retain condition number 2.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. Everyone satisfied? Can we have a motion to move?
I just have a supplementary.
Yes, certainly. Councillor.
May I ask through you to explain, the application was only for the hours, it was not for any other, it was just for the Pilates part of the business? Or is it for the entire service?
The application is just for the in that applicant's mind, the way it's been put to council in mind is that the business is offering allied health services, and the allied health services would operate between those extended period, whatever they are. If that's using the pool for rehabilitation or offering Pilates, it's all part of that allied health. So they're looking to have extended periods of time for that.
Thank you.
Councillor Morton, could you please turn your mic off? Thank you. Could I please have a motion to move? Oh, sorry, out of standing orders. Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Thank you, Councillor Hooper. All those in favour? All in favour, declare it carried. Okay, with that recommendation, I'm going to put it, or I've already put it, sorry, Councillor Lindner and Councillor O'Neill have moved and seconded the recommendation. Could I please have a show of hands for the recommendation? All in favour, declared it carried. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. You're excused. Can we please ask Councillor Shield to come back in, please? Might just pause for a moment just while Councillor Lindner gets his, yep. Welcome back. Okay, 10.2.1, governance, general manager's leave of absence and appointment of acting GM. Recommendations on page 116. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Quinn and Councillor O'Neill. Would you like to speak to a Councillor Quinn? Were you happy? Okay, if not, I'll put it. All those in favour? All in favour, declared. 10.2.2 is the Riverina Regional Library deed of agreement, and the recommendation is on page 118.
I'll move that, please.
Thank you, Councillor Shulk. Thank you, Councillor Morton. Would you like to speak to a Councillor Shulk?
I was just going to say it is a very long, comprehensive document, and it is like that for a reason after the debacle with Wagga City and the situations that they RRL went through. So they were very careful in putting this deed together so that they covered every aspect that they could think of, so that it couldn't possibly be a repeat of what they'd already been through. And it's a very good document. So we thank you to the people that put it together.
Thank you, Councillor Shilg. I'll put the vote. All those in favour? All in favour, declared it carried. Thank you, councillors. 10.3.1 Corporate and Community Services Delivery Program 2025 to 2029 and Operational Plan for 26-27, including estimates of income expenditure for 2026 and 2030 and revenue policy for 26-27. Recommendation is on page 154. Thank you, Councillor Hooper. And can I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Lindner. Is there any comments? Councillor Hooper, would you like to lead us in comments or questions?
I'm happy for any discussion to follow, but all I've thought is I know how hard it is to balance a budget for a local council. So, yeah, well done to the staff.
Thanks, Councillor Hooper. Any other questions? Thank you,
I just
Councillor
have a
Morgan.
comment. Also acknowledge the hard work that's gone into this document. Thank you so much, everyone. The little bits of rises that we have with regards to sewer and water are inevitable, and across the board, councils are seeing this substantially. I hope that our ratepayers understand how hard we've worked to remain fiscally responsible, and I appreciate that in this current crisis of living standards, we appreciate that we're not going to be whacked between the eyes. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Morton. Any other questions? Councillor Quinn.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I wish to speak against the motion. I don't support it for three basic reasons. I think the sewer rate is far too low. Got the second point, which is terrible. The third point, the second point is that I don't concur with putting our salaries up at this time of the year of what's going on. I think we should just wait for the tribunal and just take the ordinary rise that they offer. And the third part is that the 4-year operation plan, I think that the areas that are vast and very sparsely populated in the Shire are given very little attention in the 4-year operation plan. And for those three reasons, I will not support this budget.
Thank you, Councillor Quinn. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Shilg.
Yeah, I think I already said at one other meeting that I wasn't in favour of a rate rise for councillors at this point in time. So that's one reason I'll probably 100% go along with the recommendation.
Oh, Councillor Morton.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm of the opinion that a small rise in councillors' stipend will help us to encourage more people to be involved in local government. At the moment, I'm aware that there has not been an increase in councillors' allowance for several years and several budgets. We now have a situation where we have younger people putting their hand up, such as Councillor Hooper, our Deputy Mayor, who has a family and a full-time job, to be able to encourage the wealth of knowledge, maturity and education towards a position such as local government and representation of our ratepayers. It takes an enormous amount of sacrifice and personal time. And I think it's about time we lifted it a little bit. When we've got our rates and so forth are being attended, there's a lot of feedback from the media, such as Current Affair, as to the remuneration of people in public office. However, we see across the board the public service is repeatedly getting increases as well. And I'd like the ratepayers to know that that's not the only place where that gets a rise. It's also staff and contractors and so forth that are being looked after in that way.
Thank you, Councillor Morton. Councillor Hooper.
Through you, Madam Mayor, all healthy discussion, but I do note the next agenda item is specifically about councillors' fees. So, so we perhaps jumped the gun a little bit, and I'm happy to continue the debate in the next item. For this item, I think we should perhaps focus on the actual budget. Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing, but it is also part of the budget. So, that's why I let it go.
Sorry,
Councillors Are you happy to vote? Sorry. Yep. All those in favour of all those in favour of the recommendation are all in favour except for Councillor Quinn. Are you voting and against Councillor Quinn? Thank you very much. I declared it carried.
It's just
Thank you, councillors. 10.3.2, determination of local government remuneration tribunal, mayor and councillor fees. The recommendation is on page 545. Can I have a mover and seconder, please, councillors? Thank you. What have I done? Sorry, councillors, just... Oh, is it? Thank you. I'm thinking, I thought that my notes were all right. Now I've lost my space, councillor. Yeah. 454. Thank you, councillors. Recommendation, determination of local government remuneration tribunal, mayor and councillor fees, 10.3.2. Recommendation is on page 454. Can I have a mover and seconder, please, councillors? Councillor Morton. Councillor Hooper. Second. Thank you. Would you like to open the discussion, Councillor Morton?
I think if we can rewind the audio, I feel I don't need to repeat my statement.
Thank you. Councillor O'Neill, would you like to speak?
I'm just thinking one argument for the increase is that our fuel reimbursement hasn't changed for many years. I think we're still on the same rate that we've had for probably 10 years at least. So given the fuel costs, that it might offset.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Hicks, you look like you're waiting.
Oh, look, I've been waiting patiently. Everyone pretty well knows my views on this. I don't think that we should be technically setting our own pay. If you go through and look at the way things operate, someone else should be looking at it and telling us what we're worth rather than us setting our own thing. So it's one of those strange things where we don't have to declare an interest and leave the room to be able to make the decision. So that's a little bit of an anomaly there. I don't feel that we should be increasing our fees, given that everybody else is struggling and the budget was obviously a little bit difficult to get to balance. Obviously, good job done, but I don't know if it's particularly the right economic climate to be feathering our own nests a little bit further.
Just thank you, Councillor Hicks. Just in regards to that, the tribunal actually sets the fees. They have a high and a low for each of the categories of the. Well, we do, but we probably have been a bit light on for a long time compared to our counterparts. I'm just saying. Yeah. So I would. Yeah. I think the tribunal does that and fights for, councils throughout the state to be at a level, considering, what size of a shire that you are. So I think that, we don't just set our fees. And we're quite modest. I know what you're saying, but we are quite modest, I think. We're not greedy. And look, I'd like to think that we can attract more younger people, to join council, because I think it is a fairly large commitment, one larger than I expected when I first joined, and particularly now that I'm mayor. And I am running businesses, and I'm lucky I've only got one child at home now. But I think it's sensible. But anyway, that's just my opinion. You want to have a debate?
Oh, I don't know if we need to have a debate or not, but if you're going to get on the council, you're not getting on there for the money.
Definitely not.
So that's where I don't think the money is going to motivate anyone else to come on the council. If you're looking to get people to nominate for council, there's got to be other ways of doing it. It's not about the money. It's about how the council's sold in the public eye and whether it's a organisation that people would like to be involved with or not. So we'll probably be a little bit disagreement there as to whether it's the finance that gets you other reasons.
Absolutely, point taken. And look, I was disappointed last election that we didn't have anyone, we didn't have an election in East Ward. Very bitterly disappointed because I just don't think that's a healthy environment, to be honest.
Had we removed the wards, that wouldn't happen again.
Councillor Hooper, you've been waiting patiently.
No, it's a healthy discussion, and there's three, Madam Mayor, apologies. And there are both sides of it, but if you break it down and you look at the North Ward, Greater Hume is with the wards. We have a lot of towns to service. A lot of our neighbouring counterparts that are on a similar size to us, they've sort of got one major town whereas we're getting around to a lot of groups, a lot of nights of the week. It's a lot of hours in the week that we're responding to meetings and to our residents, which is great. It's our role. And I totally take your point, Councillor Hicks, that you should be not doing this for money. However, I think that we are entitled to an amount that is not governed by us. We're still not at that threshold. We're below the threshold. And if you break it down to a weekly salary, it's not a great deal for the amount of hours that go into this. And as a father of three young children and someone that is feeling the pinch of the current climate, I would welcome a pay rise to help, the day-to-day, as would anyone else. Our time is valuable. We spend a lot of time away from our families. I know, Councillor Linda, you're in a similar position with young children too. There's a lot of time away, a lot of nights away from home. And what we're asking for is not unreasonable in my view. And I appreciate we'll disagree, but that's my view.
Thanks, Councillor Hooper. We've finished debate. Thank you, Councillor Quinn.
I think in the last item, I made a few comments, but this time I respect everybody's opinion and why they see one way or the other sort of thing. But in this case, it holds me very distinctly from my neighbours, my neighbour to the west and to the south. They're both in big trouble. And I'm glad to put my hand up and say, I don't want this. That's the way I think. Now, what other people in Greater Hume Council think, it's their business.
Thank you, Councillor Quinn. I'll put it to a vote, please. For those for the recommendation, please raise your hands. Councillor O'Neill, Councillor Morton, Councillor Hooper and Councillor Parker. Those against, Councillor Quinn, Councillor Linda, Councillor Hicks, Councillor Shilg. That means that I'm in the box seat, which is always unfortunate, but I'm going to be voting for the recommendation. Thank you, councillors. 10.3.3, Gingera Wastewater Proposed Loan. The recommendation is on page 543. Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Can I have a seconder, please, councillors? Councillor Linda, thank you. Would you like to open discussion, Councillor O'Neill? Sure. Councillor Linda, do you have any comments? Thank you. Councillor Morton?
I have a question,
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, to Mr. Kane. Is that the appropriate, or to Ms. Blackart might be able to answer this question for me? The grant that we received was for half the interest that would be for this loan. Is that a New South Wales government grant or? Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't sure who to address.
It's a low cost borrowing initiative for the state government. So it's a 50% subsidy on the interest.
Okay, so
councillors know that paid it up front as well.
That was my second supplementary question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Councillor Quinn, do you have a question?
Mr. Hart again. Does that actually mean that we only pay 3.2 or whatever it is on the interest rate?
Well, yes.
It's yes or no, that's all.
Yes, it does. But given that we haven't negotiated the loan yet and that the rate may increase, we may well not get 50%. They've paid it up front. That's all we'll get. And so it won't be it won't be much. You know, on the positive side of that, we have the money in the bank now.
The interest rates have been kept on hold. So that's good at the moment. Any other questions, councillors? Yes, Councillor Quinn.
To Mr. Hart, would you ever consider using some of our own money to fund some of these loans? Bear in mind that we get perhaps 4 and a bit, and if we're going to have to pay 6 and a bit.
Yes. So, okay. So this is part of a really major exercise that will happen over a number of years, as you know, with the Gindra sewer augmentation project. And so over the period, we'll spend something like 40 million on sewer and water. So we are going to use some of our reserves to fund part of that, but we can't use all of we can't pay for it all out of our reserves. And so that's why we took up the opportunity to get a low-cost loan initiative in place so that at least the interest on that portion is minimised. The next stage of that, Mr. Blackie, I think is the following year. So we'll have a look again. We'll see what's on offer at that time as to whether there might be further opportunities, including perhaps grants. You know, and if there are grants, then we'll certainly apply for them. Does that answer the question, Councillor Quinn?
You're becoming more of a politician every day of the week, Mr. The fact of the matter is that we've got 25 million on a portfolio that we invest. Admittedly, we draw down on that quite a bit. But the thing is, if it's bringing in 4%, that's such and such. But if we're going to have to borrow half as much again, and bear in mind, go back to our friends in the Northern Territory,
Yes.
that sort of thing. And I'm just suggesting that, particularly from here on in, if you can pick up $1,000 here and there, that's going to make the local government survive. Otherwise, things are going to be sad because
I can follow your argument, Councillor Quinn, but of the $25 million that you're talking about, 20 million of it is restricted in terms of its use, either internally or externally. There's a certain amount of that's externally restricted for sewer and water, and we can do that. So if council was of a mind to use the internal restrictions from the other money, you would have to do a loan from the general fund to the sewer fund at a commercially comparable rate. So there's a procedure in there, and I'm not sure, but I think you have to get a OLG approval to do that as well. So there's a bit of a process to go through to do that. And bearing in mind that of our internal restrictions, we have things like plant replacement fund, which we don't want to use for that sort of thing. We've got a fairly big land development reserve. We've got money that came to us from the bypass of that needs to be spent on what it was given to us for. We've got children's services money which needs to be spent on children's services. So the opportunities to use that money that you're talking about is very limited, unless council's got in mind to say, no, we're not going to use that. So that we're going to do something else with it. And I don't think the community would be real happy with that.
Can I just ask a question though, too, just to follow up from that, Mr. Hart, from Mr. Quinn's, Councillor Quinn's comment? If we're borrowing money at 3.5% and we can make 4.5 in the bank, why would we be not borrowing? Is that not a good business?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Is that not good business? If we're borrowing money at half the interest rate, so let's say the interest rate is 6% and we're borrowing it and we're only paying 3%, but we can make 4.5 or 5 on our investments, why wouldn't we be doing it?
Yeah, the logic is correct.
Correct. Thank you. That's
for you, Madam Mayor. In response to that, that's exactly what we're doing. We're borrowing money, paying it back at a cheaper rate, and with the prepaid interest subsidy, we're investing it.
Thank you.
So we will try and generate as much income as we can off it. Just so that money is we can get that it's all not free money, but we're going to try and get it down as much as we can and generate things off it. So
Correct.
yeah, that's what we're attempting to do.
Thank you. Councillor Quinn, are you satisfied with the answer? Thank you, councillors. No other discussion. I'll put it. All those in favour? All in favour, declared it carried. Thank you. 10.3.4, lease of 97 Creek Street, Gindra. Recommendation is on page 545, excuse me. Thank you, Councillor O'Neill and Councillor Quinn. Will second it. Would you like to have any discussion, Councillor O'Neill?
People were happy at the forum meeting last night to hear that there's continuity with those pathology services in the medical centre for the next 5 years. So.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Councillor Quinn, you don't wish to say anything? Put your mic on. Sorry.
Again, I belong in real life, Madam Mayor. Normally these sort of leases would go up a little bit with the cost of living and everything else, because I'm sure nobody in the medical field works for nothing. But anyway.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just to respond to Councillor Quinn, we undertook a market review of the rent that's being paid on that building. This portion is one room that is being charged to the pathology for 4 hours a week. So when we did a market review, we ascertained that they were paying more than sufficient amount of money on a per square metre basis for that space. But we are undertaking market reviews when we do have the opportunity to renew leases, just to make sure that we can maintain, like we want to support our obviously health activities in, but we also need to make sure, that it's appropriate amount of support. So we are undergoing a bit of a process to review what market rent is on buildings when they come up for renewal. When we're locked into a lease, we can't do much about it. But if we have an opportunity, we will.
Thank you very much. Councillor Quinn, can you turn your, sorry. No more questions? Oh, yes, Councillor Morton.
One brief question to Ms. Frisho. Sorry. I'm assuming that all leases have CPI increases each year.
Well, historically, there were some leases that have been agreed to that didn't have a CPI. So, like I said, when it comes up for renewal, that's at least the minimum that we'll put in there as a CPI. But we also want to just review what the market, so if we've been locked into a lease for 5 or 10 years, those conditions in the market have obviously increased significantly. So we're just going to our local agents and saying, what are we renting out these spaces for? Obviously, we're not going to try and charge them the true business rate because we're trying to support and attract and maintain having health services. But we want to make sure that there's some level of parity. We're not gifting it away, that we are making some money on it so that it can be sustainable. Yeah. So we're undertaking a bit of a clean up in the lease space, if that makes sense.
Thank you very much. No more questions, councillors? No, I'll put it. All those in favour? All in favour, declare it carried. Councillor Morton, would you like to leave the room, please? 10.3.5 is a board Archie exhibition. Request to waive the fees. The recommendation is on page 547. Councillors, could I have a mover and seconder, please?
Happy to move, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Hooper, seconder. Councillor O'Neill. Would you like to open discussion, Councillor Hooper?
Through you, Madam Mayor, just obviously this is a pretty significant event for our shire to hold. It's proven success over a number of years now and it draws a big crowd. Also the fact that Rotary actively engage with other towns outside of Holbrook to come and use that as fundraising through paid support, I think is a really significant thing for our shire and the flow-on effect to get people moving through our towns is really good.
Thank you, Councillor Hooper. Any other comments, Councillor Lindner?
Yes, Madam Mayor, just given reading the report and the amount of money that the Rotary has contributed across the community, and also taking into consideration our ongoing conversations about halls and bottomless pits, I'd actually like to see the Rotary Club give a donation to the Shire for, like, it doesn't have to be massive, but a donation to the Shire just as a gesture. Thank you so much. Like, we're investing in other things, so it's like we're willing to invest, who knows, maybe a couple $1,000 into the life of the Holbrook Hall.
Thank you, Councillor Lindner. So do you want that as an amendment, Councillor? So would you like to dictate that for Emily?
Yeah, that just would be that the Holbrook Rotary Club would give a monetary donation to the hall. Obviously not the $7,000 that we're actually gifting them, but just a contribution just to go to just general upkeep and wear and tear.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder for that? No, it's completely different. No, it's an amendment. What's saying that we're waiving the fees, then you've got to give us some back some money. So it's contradicting. So you wouldn't put it as a number 2. Sorry, Councillor O'Neill.
What council, if you bring it back to maybe 1,500, they'll find that just an acceptable donation, and that's just the fee for the next 15 years.
I think they do, if I might say, they do bring a lot of people to the Shire with this event, and they don't take all the money themselves. They outsource people to volunteer to work at it, and like the museum in Holbrook, they man it for a week, and the proceeds go to the museum. Like, so they're not just pocketing the money, shall I say, and it actually costs them about $10,000, I think. I might be wrong in saying that. I don't know which director has history on this, but I think it's about $10,000 in insurance that they have to pay to actually get the event to the Shire. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Through them working on the door, like, they actually do work for that reason. They do that. Councillor Hooper?
Through Madam Mayor, my thoughts are Rotary Club, as my understanding, is a non-for-profit organisation that's facilitating a service, an event to come down to Holbrook in this instance. As I said, I've been at different CDC meetings where it's been discussed that other groups, maybe it's your Lions Club or whatever, are able to go over and actually facilitate, man those doors and get paid some money to do so and put towards their non-for-profits. So I do think there's a fair bit of reach, and I do think that the amendment is quite contradictory to the actual recommendation, because we are recognising that they're a non-for-profit and those fees are waived. So then to ask for something in return, I think I do know that the Rotary Club, as do the Lions clubs within our local government area, do a lot for these towns to keep things going. When we can't get groups to step up and provide it, whether that's an election day barbecue or whatever it may be, it's the Lions Club and the Rotary clubs that put their hands up. So I do think they give back a lot to the Shire already.
Australia Day events, Anzac Day events. I know that happens in Holbrook anyway. Do we have a seconder for council? Also, I'm just getting some notes. Can I have a seconder for the amendment, please? Councillor Lindner, move the amendment. Can I have a seconder for the amendment? No? Sorry, Councillor Lindner. So we're back to Councillor Hooper and Councillor O'Neill move the recommendation. Can I put that to a vote, please, councillors? All those in favour? All in favour, declare to carry. Can we ask Councillor Morton to come back? Ten point 3.6 is a policy revision for social media policy, and the recommendation is on page 549. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Lindner. And a seconder, please, councillors. Thank you, Councillor Quinn. Any discussion, Councillor Lindner? Would you like to open? No. Any comments or questions? No. If not, I'll put it. All those in favour? All in favour, declared it carried. We have no engineering items this month, Mr. Blackie. And we have some items referred to closed council. Can I please have a motion to refer item 1, which is 10.5.1, disposal of council owned property, recommendations on pay, or I won't read the recommendation, sorry. Can I have a motion that goes to closed council, please? Thank you, Councillor Quinn and Councillor Shield. Thank you very much. All those in favour? All in favour, declared it carried. Reports from officers, part B, and D. Councillor Hicks. Thank you, Councillor Hicks. And a seconder for those. Thank you, Councillor Morton. And is there any comments or questions that you have for those sections B, C, or D?
What
Councillor-
page do they start, please?
Oh, now you're asking me something. 576, please. Yep. No questions? Or shall I wait a little bit longer? All those in favour? All in favour, declared it carried. And if we could please have a motion to move into closed council, please, councillors. Thank you, Councillor Hicks and Councillor Quinn. Yes. GM? Oh, sorry.
Through you, Madam Mayor, the recommendation that was moved was that Council 1 declare the property at 10 Vine Street, Holbrook, New South Wales as surplus to council requirements, and 2, authorise the General Manager to dispose of the property on the open market in accordance with the Local Government Act 1993 and to finalise all documentation consistent with Council's resolution. And 3, set a confidential reserve price for the sale of the property based on the independent market appraisals to be determined and approved by the General Manager prior to listing.
Thank you very much, Madam GM. Matters of urgency, councillors. Thank you, Councillor Lina.
Madam Mayor, it's just in relation to the wind farm, and as a result of there has been a number of articles either in the paper or on TV news regarding it, and I think that as a council we need to actually form an opinion, so a collective opinion, so that we're moving as a team. Because at present it's putting a lot of pressure on you, Madam Mayor, and so
totally
you sort of can't really speak on behalf of the council because we haven't actually come to a formal position.
Correct, Councillor Lina, and that's something that I think we definitely. Oh, and yes, sorry. Can we have a seconder? Oh, I'll just have to put it, don't I? Do I have a seconder? Can I have a seconder if it's a matter of urgency, please? Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Morton. Can I please have a vote? All in favour? All in favour? Yes, Councillor Lina, I think that is something that I've been discussing for a while. We need to have a collective view on what our position is, because it is really difficult because the media do hound you quite a bit, and I have to check myself and say it's my personal opinion, and as of everyone when they talk about it. So I think that's something that we need to bring a report back to council for sure. If not, if there's nothing else, sorry, yes, Councillor Quinn, to turn your mic on. Sorry, we're back on.
I think we should wind the local member up over this issue. He's out there making comments today about road funding and a bit of health and something else. He might be in favour of it or he might be dead against it, but then at least we know what he thinks.
Perhaps we'll invite him along to a meeting. Yep, absolutely. Nothing else, councillors? No? If not, I'll close the meeting at 7. Yeah, I did. Thank